Here I am again. Whoops. Get the comments up. Okay, let's make something sweet. I've been making savory stuff, so now I'm ready to make something sweet. I'm going to make some cookies. And these are the Espresso oatmeal cookies, and they are from Vicki Brett-Gach. I think I'm saying it right. Her ebook is called Feel Great Desserts. And these are cookies that have espresso powder in them. However, I don't use espresso powder, even decaf, because I don't really trust decaf stuff, because sometimes it's almost like they hide caffeine. There's a little caffeine content, and it's enough that it bugs me, so I don't trust it. So I don't know. Does anyone else have a bad experience with decaf? Terry's on here. I'm going to make a flax egg real quick with 3 tablespoons of water and a tablespoon of ground flax. This is not in her recipe, but I'm going to add it because I like the way that it kind of helps the cookies stay together better. So that's my addition. I just put that in all my cookies. Bake. Got to start my oven. It's going to be 350. Okay. So I've got my little flax egg going. How are you doing, Terry? You're not on the road anymore, I take it? Penny says, looking forward to these. I bought your powder a while ago, so I'm glad this recipe uses it. Yeah, I'm going to show you what I'm using. This is it's a Say Me tea, and they're one of the bundle contributors. They contributed, I think, a coupon or something. And it's you use it in place of coffee, and it's made with brown rice that's been roasted and ground. But it's really strange because it looks like coffee, and it even has kind of a coffee-like taste. You can't really see it, but if I were to put some in my hand, it looks like espresso powder, and it has a really rich, good taste. Like I've made actually a cup of coffee, fake coffee, and I've had a cup of it and put some almond milk in it, and it was really good. So, don't knock it till you've tried it. But I used to always use, I'm getting a throat lozenge because I don't want to lose my voice on you. I used to always use espresso powder in the past, and I didn't have a problem with it. It was fine. But it was like strong coffee. We are stopped in Birmingham this evening. Okay. So, if you want to use espresso powder, I don't have a problem with that. It probably works better. But I'm going to use the stuff that I'm familiar with because I think that I'll like that better. Okay, so I'm going to put my tray of stuff here, and I'll get the recipe out. I need a couple of spoons. So how many of you watched the spring rolls? Anybody? Think you might make spring rolls? Sky Blue says just purchase the bundle. Amazing Grace. Great. I'm glad you were able to get it. Okay, so in Vicki's espresso oatmeal cookies, she says 1.5 cups of rolled oats. Well, I'm changing it up a little bit. I'm sorry, I just have to change things. I'm going to use a 1/2 cup of oats, a 1/2 cup of oat flour, and a 1/2 cup of almond flour. Because, I think recipes are great, but I like to make them to my preference. If you like it just with solid oats, then make it just the way she says, with 1.5 cups of oatmeal. But I kind of like a combination of oatmeal, oat flour, and almond flour in cookies. That just is my preference. But, write down my changes, and then you can, modify hers if you want to. And then I'm going to mix the dry ingredients together before I add anything else. So also I'm going to put in like a pinch of salt. That's not in the recipe. 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. And that is 1/2 and 1/4. How's everybody doing tonight? 1/2? and a fourth. And it's a good idea to measure out stuff like dry ingredients in cookies, because if you get too much in there, it's not good. And then a half a teaspoon of baking powder. I will make them in a few weeks. I have to have a tooth pulled later in the week, so I'll make the spring rolls in a few weeks. Oh, I understand. They're so good. I scarfed down a couple small pieces a few minutes ago. The cookies look yummy. I think they're going to be good. And I like the fact they're different. You know, they're they're espresso cookies, so they're going to have that dark color. Okay, so that was all the dry ingredients. And in hers, well, here, I'll talk about that in a second. So what I like to do is I like to mix the dry ingredients together before I add anything, because once you start adding stuff, like in her recipe, it just says, in a large bowl, mix ingredients until well combined. But my method is add the dry ingredients and mix them first, because you don't want to have pockets of baking soda and baking powder in your finished cookies, because that will leave you with a bitter taste in your mouth and you won't like it. And then I'm going to add the wet ingredients, which is the espresso powder, the Same brown rice tea espresso powder. Penny's making the yakisoba. Oh, good. You're going to like that. Okay, so this is my half a cup of that. And remember, I said I made a flax egg, so I'm going to add my 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed with 3 tablespoons of water, because I think the flax egg always holds it together better. And then it uses a 1/3 cup of almond butter. This is going to be good. I hope you get a cooking break tomorrow. I will. I have one more live tonight. I'm going to make fried rice at 9 o'clock. My husband said, I'll probably be in bed by the time you finish up. I thought, yeah, you probably will. Most normal people would not be frying rice at 9 p.m. to the internet, not even to make it for people. I'm going to have so much food, but I have a friend I keep talking about her, she's going through a tough time. So I have somebody I can take food to in the next day or two. So I'm going to package up some food and take it over to her. I have so much in some of these cookies too. Okay, and then she says to use peanut powder, 1/4 cup. Well, I don't have that kind of peanut powder. I enjoyed your demonstration on how to make nori spring rolls. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you did. I was telling my husband that I really like doing these cooking demonstrations because they don't feel like work to me. To me, this is fun because, I'm doing something I know how to do really well. I can talk to people while I'm doing it, which I like to talk to people. And at the end, there's something good to eat. So that's why I really like teaching cooking classes or doing cooking related events, because there's always something good. I'm just going to use 1/4 of a cup of peanut butter. And this is my favorite peanut butter. This is Nothing Better Organic Peanut Butter Creamy. It has the best taste. I get it at the regular grocery store. And I always buy it because it has nothing in it but just the peanuts and some sea salt, but not a lot of that. So I've got that in there. Get this out of the way. And then it calls for 1½ teaspoons of vanilla. So I am going to, tomorrow, and the sad thing is Monday is my busiest day. So here's my Monday. I go out and walk. That's 1.5 teaspoons. I go out at 7 in the morning, or 6:45 now, and walk. And I usually walk 5 miles, but most of my friends stop at 3. So I'll probably stop at 3 tomorrow and give myself a little break. Okay, so now all I have to do is mix it together. And then when I come back from my walk, it's Monday, so usually I start thinking about what I'm going to make for the week, cooking wise. And so I start making, some food for the week. Boy, it's very peanut buttery. It's very, we'll see how this goes. I think it's going to need some more oats. Well, maybe not. I have everything in it. 1.5 cups, the liquid. Yeah, it just seems a little thin. Oh, I'm going to put some chocolate chips in it. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Any other comments come in? Okay, no. So then I have come back from walking. I have my breakfast. And then I usually run errands on Mondays. Usually I have stuff to do. So I might run some errands or something. And then at 4 o'clock, I go work out with my trainer and do weightlifting. And he is really hard. Peggy said another fabulous demo. Thank you. And he makes me work hard. I mean, he is not easy on me because I'm an older woman. That doesn't matter one bit. He's like, last time I was there, he gave me two 15-pound dumbbells, one for each hand, and I had to do the dumbbell curls with 15-pound dumbbells. Well, that's not that much, but it's hard. It's not easy. So he has me doing hard stuff, but it's good because I have really strong arms and strong back. I'm going to put 1/2 cup of chocolate. These are my delicious El Rey 73.5% chocolate chunks or chips. They look like this. And I order them from a company called Chocolates El Rey in Stonewall, Texas. Chef Julia, thank you for all your sharing this week. I downloaded the bundle and very excited. Oh, thank you. And thanks to all the people who purchased the bundle. I'm noticing in vegan cooking, there's not a lot of electric mixers used. No, everything is hand mixed. Good for me because, what does it say? The motor in my favorite kitchen mixer died last Christmas. Yeah, I don't really use my KitchenAid mixer that much except to make bread sometimes, to knead dough. But even then you can do it by hand. So yeah, so I'll go work out with a personal trainer. And then I come home from that and I immediately get my dogs and I take my dogs to dog training, which is a kind of like a 25-minute drive from here. And I get them in the car. I'm probably just going to take one tomorrow night. And I grab the dogs, get them in the car, take them to the dog training. And then I spend the next hour, but tomorrow night it'll be 30 minutes walking around doing heel, sit, stay, come, and dog obedient stuff. And then I get home from that about 7 or so at night. And I haven't eaten dinner or anything. I'll eat an apple in the car between weight training and dog training. And then I'll get home and it'll be about 7:30. I'll sit down for the first time in hours and I'll eat a light dinner. It's kind of late, but I'll eat a light dinner. And then that's it. I'll go to bed about 10 o'clock. But Mondays are really tiring days or long days. So that's tomorrow. It's like, oh boy. But the funny thing is I really feel good today. I mean, I don't feel tired right now. It's kind of surprising because I have been doing these cooking demos since this morning at 9 o'clock. I got up early and remember we lost an hour of sleep. So I got up at 5. It was 6, but it was really 5. And I got up and started, planning my day, doing stuff for the bundle, doing I have to post things online and do different posts and different things. So it's kind of a lot of stuff to do. So I did that this morning. I'm just cleaning all these chocolate shards off my board. Might as well use them. And then, I've been busy all day doing cooking related things. So I put 1/2 cup of dark chocolate in here. It's espresso, so might as well make it have a little chocolate. And mine's not as dark as hers. If you look at the pictures, hers is black. Her cookies are kind of black. I think the Samey, it's called Samey tea, is lighter color. Okay, so I don't see any new comments. Oh, here's some more. Just ordered the bundle. Thank you, Cindy. I'm going to put the link up here again. And, I can't, I've talked about it before. I'm going to taste this. I wouldn't promote it if I didn't, oh, I forgot the date syrup. I'm glad I tasted that. I forgot to put the date syrup in it. If you don't want the coffee, can you add something else to it? Yeah, it's a half a cup of liquid. So I would just add some, boy, it doesn't taste good when it's not sweet. Let's see, what could you add? Almond milk? Maybe some almond milk? I wouldn't add water. I'm going to have to get some maple syrup. This is the last of my date syrup. Well, let's see. I'm going to go look at something real quick. Oh. Okay, so I got a little maple syrup to fill this up to 1/3 of a cup. You can mix the two syrups. So I went and got my recipe for holiday oatmeal cookies, which is my favorite cookie recipe. I make it all the time and give it to people to see what I put in that recipe, and I'll look at it in a second. So here I had forgotten to put in the sweetener. And when I tasted the cookie dough, it tasted real bitter. It was like, oh, that tastes like dog biscuit dough. It didn't taste like cookie dough. So, you know, good experience if you're taste your cookie dough, and if it doesn't taste right, look at your recipe like I did. And also, it wasn't very dark. Remember I said hers was a lot darker? So that got me thinking, did I leave something out? And sure enough, mine isn't dark, because see, now it's all dark. Gosh, what a nut. Okay, so what I put in my holiday oatmeal cookies, I put the almond flour, rolled oats. I just put date syrup and maple syrup. I don't put any liquid, so I think you could just leave it out. I think a half a cup of liquid was actually a lot to put in here, because I didn't use all rolled oats. I had some oat flour in here. So in a way, I feel like I should put in a little bit more flour, because it seems like the cookies are a little too wet. So I'm going to add a few more oats in here, like 1/4 a cup more oats. Yeah, thank you, Christy. I think you'll like all the bundle offerings. So I added another 1/4 of a cup of oats, because when I used the flour and then added that half a cup of liquid, it made it a little too thin to be cookie batter. So, follow her recipe exactly, and maybe it will come out better, because I changed it around and added the flax egg and different things, but I think it's still going to come out good. And it's nice and dark now, so let's taste it now. Oh, much better. Yep, that was not good to leave out the sweet part. Okay, so now we have our cookie dough made correctly, finally. And we're going to put it on our sheet pan. I have a 2 tablespoon size cookie scoop. And it says it makes about 12 to 14. So I'm just going to scoop them here. And she says that they don't really spread out. So you have to spread them out yourself. And that I'm used to that with my cookies. That one's a little cheesy. I'm used to that with my cookies. Can you smell the espresso? Well, this brown rice powder doesn't have much of a smell once you put it in stuff. A little bit, but not much. If it was true coffee, I bet you could smell it more. And I bet this would be really good with some real instant espresso powder to make, or like she says, a half a cup of strong, dark brewed roast coffee, and she uses decaffeinated. Can you accidentally overmix the dough? No. This kind of dough, because there's no flour. Oat flour and almond flour, those are like made out of, they're not true flours. They're not gluten type flours. They're made from oats and ground up almonds. So those don't really get messed up from over mixing. They're usually fine. So it wasn't from over mixing. It was probably because the ratio of liquid to the dry ingredients is a little off because I changed the recipe by adding the flours instead of just solid oats. But you know, I find this sometimes when I make other people's recipes that they don't come out the way that I expect them to. And it's just because people, you know, they have different preferences. You know, maybe for somebody, this is, they like their cookies a certain way, and it may not be the way I'm used to them. So, you know, it's all good. All right, so I got all these laid out. And then what I do is I take a little, Sky Warrior says hello, hello. I get a little bowl of water. And I wet my hands because that way you can spread them out and it doesn't stick to you. And we're just going to bake these for 10 minutes. So for each one, I'm wetting my hands. And I got this couple extras that are kind of in the middle. They look a little strange, but they'll be fine. And this takes a minute, but yeah, this dough feels pretty soft, softer than my normal cookie dough, but I think it'll be good. I'll be happy to eat them. I'm not going to say no. I have eaten so much stuff this past 10 days. Oh my goodness. Tomorrow is day one of the 21-day challenge. So a bunch of people were asking me when I was going to start another 21-day challenge. So I picked tomorrow and I stuck with it. I posted on my group a few minutes ago and said, get ready. And the 21-day challenge is what I did back in May of 2020 to get my excess weight off and to lower my cholesterol and lower my blood pressure. And what I did was I followed Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen every single day for 21 days. I just made a commitment to myself. I said, you know, I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to go eat at the vegan restaurant and have a burger. I'm not going to eat the vegan pizza at the vegan pizza place. I'm not going to eat a bunch of, you know, oatmeal cookies like these at night after dinner. Have you seen Dr. Greger yet on his book tour? No, I have not. He hasn't been in my area, not close enough. I think he's going to be in Dallas, but I don't think I'm going to go out to Dallas to see him because I've listened to his book and I've heard him speak about it. And, you know, I don't have to drive all the way to Dallas to see him in person, although I'd like to meet him because I could tell him how much his plan has helped me. So he would probably enjoy meeting me too, right? Because I'm one of his big fans, I guess. I mean, I talk about his program all the time. Okay, I'm going to get this in the oven for 10 minutes, but see what I did? And it made 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. It made 17 in my size. What's different about Dr. Greger and Dr. McDougall? Well, 10 minutes. Dr. Greger, his plan is called the Daily Dozen. And he basically says, have, you know, so many servings of beans, grains, vegetables, fruit, berries, greens, water, walk or exercise every day, and check off the Daily Dozen. And there's an app for it. And you can kind of keep track of, you know, if you've had all the servings of all the Daily Dozen. And, you know, he would love to meet you. I bet he would. Why did you choose 21 days? I just randomly picked that because I thought that was a good amount of time for me. Because what would happen, my pattern was always to, I would say, oh, I'm going to eat healthy plant-based food. And then, I would eat it 1 or 2 days, and then somebody would say, hey, you want to go out to lunch? There's this place that has really good vegan tacos. And I would say, yeah, let's go. And so I would go out to lunch and eat the vegan tacos that had oil. And then the next day, any gains or, positive things that had happened to me the week before, well, all the rich, oily, plant-based food, I would, undo any good that I'd already done. So that was kind of my pattern. I would go down a little, up a little, down a little, up a little, and my weight never changed. It was always like I weighed about 165 to 170 pounds forever. And I couldn't get the scale to budge. Even though I was active, I was going to the gym, I was walking some, but not every day. So, it was just kind of like, I need to do it and stick with it long enough for something to happen and not keep making exceptions, because every week would be the same. I would do well for a few days and then make exceptions and go right back to where I started. Has anyone ever done that? Can you relate to that? That it's one step forward, two steps back? So then at the end of 21 days, I had my labs redone, and I knew what they were right before I started. And my cholesterol went from 211 to 170 in 3 weeks, and it had never been that low. It was like, whoa, what happened? So Stacy says, yes, I guess she relates to this. So, it was such a great experience, because I thought, hey, not only did my cholesterol drop a lot, and I wasn't taking medicine or anything, but I lost a couple of pounds. Not much, but like 3 pounds or something the first 3 weeks. I thought you chose 21 days since I heard it said it takes 3 weeks to change habits. No, I just thought 3 weeks sounded like a good amount of time. It wasn't really that well thought out. So after that 3 weeks, I had such good success that, I was losing the weight, and I was actually feeling better too. I just felt like I had more energy. And I started walking every day, because the daily dozen is to walk every day, 90 minutes, or do some kind of more intensive activity for 45 minutes. I thought, okay, I'll walk every day. I'll walk every day. So I walked every day. I even walked Sundays in the beginning. I haven't been walking every day now. I don't always walk on the weekends. But in the beginning, I walked every day, even Sundays. And, after another 3 weeks, I lost more weight. And so pretty soon, I have my picture here. I keep it in this room. Because, the picture, let's see if you can see it better. The picture where I'm wearing the Roaring Twenties dress, that was a New Year's party. We went out at the beginning of that year, 2020, the Roaring Twenties. And I think I weighed about 170 pounds there. And by the end of the year, I was down to 140. So I don't know if you can tell a big difference when you look at it, but I sure could. Like, I was wearing, in the second picture here, I'm wearing a size 10 dress. Here I'm stuffed into a size 14 dress. And my face is a lot fuller. I would always have this kind of big, very puffy cheek look. So anyway, it wasn't about looks so much as it was about, I didn't want to be on medication for high cholesterol. I didn't want to have extra medication for blood pressure. So, I just wanted to be at a healthy, I wanted to be at a healthy weight where I didn't have problems. Like, I used to have some foot problems where I would get these, plantar fasciitis kind of things would flare ups a lot. And then, my blood pressure was unstable. Like, sometimes it would be high, sometimes it would be normal. I could never really be sure. And then my cholesterol was climbing. Even though I was eating plant-based, I was eating what I thought was a healthy plant-based diet. But what I would do is I would eat a lot more bread, a lot more fatty plant-based food, a lot more avocados, nuts, seeds, nut sauces, just everything. And because of that, I could never really lose any weight. So now, normally, I eat a lot more of this kind of stuff. Okay, like the spring roll salad. I would be more likely to eat a big bowl of this for my meal with a small amount of other stuff. So, like in the Daily Dozen, what he talks about is one thing I liked about it too is he tells you to have 3 half-cup portions of grains a day. Let's see, I think getting started is half the battle. That and having a friend to walk with. Maybe I'll go to the track in the gym. Tomorrow sounds as good as any to see if I can move more. Yeah, I started by going to the park by myself, and for a long time, every morning I would get all bundled up in the winter in my winter clothes or in the summer in my shorts, and I would wear my AirPods and I would listen to audiobooks or podcasts or YouTube or something, and I would take a dog with me and walk, and I would just go. And one day I ran into a friend, a good friend, and she was walking in the park, and I said, "Oh, do you walk here?" And she said, "Oh, sometimes I do." And I said, "Well, I've been coming here every day, and it's the first time I've seen you." And she said, "Well, I usually come later." And so she said, "Well, I'll start meeting you here." And this was like in 2020. And so she started coming every day. And then another friend heard that we were going, so she started coming. And then another friend, and now there's 4 of us, and we're almost always there every day. And I think we have a fifth one now. But 4 of my friends, including me, 4 of us are going to walk the Camino de Santiago in April this year. So in another month, next month, oh my gosh, it's coming up. We're going to walk from Portugal all the way up to Spain to the end of the Camino de Santiago. It's a pilgrimage kind of a walk where, a bunch of people are walking, and we stop and stay at hotels at night. And, it's kind of like, you just kind of stay away from all the conveniences of life and talk to people and, pray for people, or it's just kind of a way to get away from the busyness of the world and enjoy nature. We're going to walk for the whole thing, we're going to be gone for 3 weeks. And we're going to walk for I think about 2 weeks of that are going to be walking. We'll be walking about some days 15 miles, some days 10 miles. Some days we're going to take a break and not walk. So we may have a day off and do some sightseeing. But we're not bringing a lot of stuff. We're going to carry a day pack during our all-day walk, and then we're going to have our luggage, which we're not bringing a lot of luggage, delivered to our hotel in between every day. That's kind of a thing they do because, we're not, we start in Porto, Portugal. We're not the kind of people that want to carry everything we own in a backpack, a heavy backpack, and carry it around all day. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I want to. So, and then the food, I've been reading and researching about vegans on the Camino, and there's actually websites and Facebook pages about people who are vegan on the Camino, and they actually said there's a lot of good choices. Like there's little grocery stores everywhere along the Camino, and you can stop and get fresh fruit, vegetables. Chickpeas are easy to get in cans that just flip off the top. They said the restaurants will have things like salads and fruit. They eat a lot of fish, and they eat a lot of potatoes and eggs, like a tortilla. So I'm not sure how that's going to all go. I'm going to bring some food with me. I'll bring some peanut butter and some some tofu jerky that I found in a store that's like beef jerky, but it's made from tofu. And I'll bring some nuts, and I'll just bring some food with me. Okay, here's our cookies. Let me oh, they look dark, don't they? Let me take a look at them. And they seem a little soft. I'm going to put them back in for one more minute. They just seem a little soft. I'm going to run and get my cookie rack. Sorry about that. I should have brought that in with me, but okay. We'll just give that another minute. They just feel kind of soft. So then my next adventure this year is I'm going to Japan with a friend, another couple we're going, and we're going to go for about 2 weeks to Japan. So that's another fun adventure. Will I post from there? Yeah. I think they have Wi-Fi everywhere. So I will post. Here, I didn't set my timer. Yeah. Well, it turned my oven off. Sorry about that. Trying to do too many things at once. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I will post. I'll post pictures of the scenery, but I'll post pictures of what I'm eating just because that's what I always do. I think it'll be a lot of fun though. And I'm definitely, can I walk that much? Yeah, I can because I was in Mexico a few weeks ago with my friend and one day we walked about 13 miles. It was insane. Oh, got a drink. But if I hadn't started doing this whole food, plant-based, no oil, healthy way of eating and lost the extra weight and gotten all my health under control, there is no way I would be able to do this trip. I just know it. I just know that I wouldn't have been in the shape before to go on a trip like this. Okay. So yeah, they feel a lot better now. They feel like before they felt so soft. So always let your cookies sit on the sheet for a minute or so before you remove them to a rack, because otherwise when you start removing them, they'll be too soft. So how is Dr. McDougall's program different? Well, Dr. McDougall's program, I'm pretty sure I have it sitting right here, the starch solution. I think that his program tends to be a little bit more lenient. I think he says that you basically can eat whatever you want. My yakisoba is done, the noodles tomorrow, and the tofu is done as well. So 2 helpings for later in the week. Trip sounds wonderful. Don't forget to do pictures. So I think he kind of says to eat as much as you need to eat, as long as you're eating starch and vegetables and low calorie density foods. I don't have time to look it up. Whereas Dr. Greger's approach, he says he recommends that you have, this size serving of proteins and grains and vegetables. And so to me, that kind of guideline of have half a cup of grains at your meals, that helped me because Buen Camino, have you been on the Camino, Cindy? Because in the past, what I would do, if someone says you can eat all the starch you want, then one of my problem areas is I like to eat the starch, but not the vegetables. If I had the choice, I like vegetables, but if there was a bunch of potatoes and rice and beans, I would get a lot of that, and then I would get some vegetables. But what it trained me to do was to get a lot of vegetables first, and then have a smaller amount of the beans, grains, and potatoes. And that helped me lose weight because before I would eat a lot more of the other stuff and not very many vegetables. And I never could get any weight off. So that's why I like it. Because I know people that follow the McDougall type plan where they eat as much as they want until they're satisfied. And they're eating huge amounts of, like, a couple cups of oatmeal and a couple cups of rice and gigantic mountains of food. And they say, well, I can eat as much as I want. Kathy and Cheryl do it. A contributor whose husband is walking that route now. I can't remember her name. She has a broken foot. Oh, that's interesting. At least 50% starch, then veggies on the rest of the plate. Yeah, so, if that works for you, if you like the McDougall program and it's working for you, meaning your health levels are where you want them to be, or if you're concerned about losing some weight, you've lost your weight, fine. I'm for anything that works. I'm going to keep doing Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen because it's working for me. I've kept the weight off. It's going to be in May of this year. That'll be 4 years since I started. And I think that's pretty good for me. I know it is good for me because I'm not dieting and I'm not gaining my weight back. So think about that. All my life I was dieting. See how pretty the cookies came out? We have to taste one. Okay. Oh, it's kind of soft because it hasn't hardened yet. Yeah, the McDougalls gave interviews when veggies were in short supply. They said potatoes were enough to keep people alive. Their 10-day program worked as a starter plan. Love the app for Gregor. Yeah, a lot of people follow that to get started. Okay, the cookies are done. Hmm. Well, I don't really like I think that samey tea, there was too, or coffee stuff, there was too much of that in here. If I were to make these again, I would put like 2 tablespoons of that in here and not a half a cup. That was just too much. So everything else is okay. I think hopefully they'll taste better after they've cooled down. Stacy says, I have chronic inflammation trying to figure out what to do. Doctor said no nuts, seeds, or grains, bland diet only. Ryan says, I like that Dr. Greger is more balanced about getting a wider variety of food. Yeah, I'm a chef, so I'm big into variety of food. So I like that too. Yeah, I think no nuts, seeds, or grains wouldn't be that hard to do because cutting out nuts and seeds is not that hard. You just don't put nuts in your food. Don't eat chia seeds and stuff. And then grains, there are tons of grain-free options anymore. Every potatoes are grain-free. So are all starchy vegetables. And you can use squash in place of a grain. You can have starchy vegetables, squash, and potatoes. And then I'm trying to think what else is grain-free that would be good. I'd have to do some thinking about that, but I bet you can find a long list of grain-free starchy foods that you would learn to love. And it would take time. Like it took time for me to even adapt to the Daily Dozen because I like to eat a lot of bread. I like to eat a lot of sandwiches. I would go to the gourmet grocery store and get like an avocado sandwich on 2 giant pieces of French bread filled with tomatoes, lettuce, onions, pickles, and hummus with oil. And I would rationalize that I'm not using mayonnaise. And then the sandwich would be like that big and that thick. And I would say, well, I'm going to eat half of this. And I would eat the whole thing. So, I was eating a lot of that kind of food, a lot of high fat, a lot of bread, a lot of salty stuff. So I know exactly why I could never lose weight once I started eating more vegetables, fruits, greens, stopped eating at night, started eating only fruit after dinner. And I've stuck with that and it's really worked for me. As soon as I start going back to my old ways, like as soon as I start traveling and eating a lot of restaurant food and snacking on cookies, even if they're vegan, whole food, plant-based, no oil, um, eating a lot of avocados, cheese sauces, mayonnaise based or cashew based mayonnaises, if I start eating a lot of really rich plant based food, then I'll start immediately. I can feel it. I can just tell that, I've gained a pound or two. And then I say, nah, I don't need this. And I just go back the next day to eating my salads and vegetables and grains and beans. So it's pretty easy. My foods are straightforward. And when I start doing my weekly lives with you, I'll show you what I eat for the week. I'll show you what I'm going to eat for the week. I'll kind of put together here's what I'm going to fix this week and just show you what it is. And that way you'll have an idea. And if it works for you, you can do it. If not, I think the important thing is you pick something and do it. Okay, so the cookies are done. Um, they're not my favorite tasting cookie, I have to admit. And I think it's because of the overpowering of using that brown rice mixture. but also baked goods. It's tasting better now that it's cooled. So give it a chance, let it cool, but don't, if you're going to make these, don't use as much of the espresso mixture. Use like 2 tablespoons. Okay, take it from me. And maybe put a little bit more date syrup in it, make it a little sweeter. They're not very sweet. How many years has the bundle been offered? This is the 3rd year. So this is year number 3. I've been involved in, well, yeah, I've been involved in it the first 2 years. So three years. I'm going to do it again next year. I'm already planning I'm going to do 2 books next year. I'm going to do pizza, and I'm going to make a pizza ebook that includes how to make pizza on a pizza stone in the house, how to make pizza outside on the grill. And I told my husband I'm going to buy one of those little pizza ovens that are powered by gas, because we have a gas line out here. And I'm going to make a sourdough crust, a regular crust, a bunch of toppings, and I'm going to have a complete pizza class with a video for next year. And then the second book I'm going to do is my Asian favorites. So I'm going to take my favorite Thai, Vietnamese, Korean, Japanese, Filipino, all different Asian cuisines, maybe Taiwanese. I'm not sure what else I could put in there that I'm familiar with. How does that sound? Did you say she used oat powder? Did she mix it with water? Oh no, in her recipe, she used 1.5 cups of oats. And then I added a flax egg because I always add a flax egg to my cookies. But I think that watery, that 1/2 cup of espresso liquid, it didn't give it a very good taste. It could be that same AT. It was too much. Pizza class sounds amazing. Thank you. I think it would be good because I've already done a pizza class. So I already have a lot of really good pizza components, but I'd like to put it together with a more advanced look at how to make a good pizza at home. And then the Asian one is going to be different from, I've done 2 Japanese ebooks. I'm going to do an Asian ebook with, some of the other Asian countries represented. Love those new book ideas. Peanut powder was, oh yeah, peanut PB2 powder. Maybe that's where I went wrong by not putting that PB2 powder in it. It made it too liquid because that powder probably soaked up some of that espresso liquid. Well, I didn't have the PB powder, so I couldn't use it. I don't usually use that. It's okay. I think these will still be good tomorrow. I'll take them to my friend, and she'll probably think they're fine because nobody's as picky as me. I'm the person that tastes everything and thinks, well, I think I could have done this, and maybe I should have done that. But it does taste better after it cools off. So I just need to give it more of a chance, but they're not very sweet. They're very, I don't know how to describe it. They're just not very sweet. Okay, I'm going to put my link in here again. And if you're watching and you haven't gotten the bundle, it ends at midnight Pacific Standard Time. So that's 2 a.m. for me, and I'm not staying up till 2 a.m. I'm going to do my 9 o'clock video. That's in another hour on fried rice. And then after that's done, I'm going to clean up my mess. I'm going to go take a shower, and then I'm going to sit down and relax for a little while because I think I've done enough for one day. And whatever happens with the bundle happens, and I can't, change that. So, if you haven't gotten it yet and want it, get it. If you want to share what I'm doing with anybody, let them know, because every single time what happens is tomorrow somebody will message me and say, oh, guess what? I want the bundle. Let's see, did you make her peanut and jelly cookies? No, I didn't make those. She has a recipe for peanut jelly cookies in her book. I saw that, but I didn't make those. But it is the same person. The best cookies, get the bundle earlier today using your link. Thank you, Kathy. Looking forward to exploring it tomorrow. The very, very best cookies that you could ever make. I incorporated your recipe over the last 3 months in the starch solution framework and lost 20 pounds. Great, Liz. Good. See, that's why I say you can follow any framework, Daily Dozen, starch solution, eat to live. You can follow any of those kind of foundations and lose weight and get healthy, but you have to stick to it. You have to really make a commitment that I'm going to do this. And I say 100%. That's why if you look at my challenge, it says for 21 days, eat nothing but the Daily Dozen. And the reason I say that is because in the past, I would never do that. I would always make exceptions, and they would be valid. Like I would say, oh, well, I'm going over here, or my husband wants to go out, or I would have a reason that I thought made sense, but, same result. I'm one step forward, two steps back. So I don't want to do that anymore. And I don't. Okay. M. Pennington says, I went back and looked. The contributor's name, husband on the walk is Nicole Fogelman. Oh, okay. That's good to know. Yeah, that's a walk of a lifetime, is to walk the Camino. And most people, there's different ways to do it. You can do it from Portugal to Spain. That's like 110 miles. The real Camino, the original one, is from France to Spain. And that one, I think, can take 35 days. So it's more than twice as long. And we're not doing that one. We're doing the shorter one just because, we don't want to be gone that long. And she's my friend. One of my friends has been before, and she thought this was a good one. We're going to go the coastal route. So it's going to take us along the ocean part of the way. And we have to take some boats a couple times to get to where we're going. So I think it'll be great. Okay, everybody, make the cookies. But I do have a tip for you. If you want a really good cookie, besides this one, look at my YouTube channel and do a search for holiday oatmeal cookies. Holiday oatmeal cookies. And it's kind of similar, but it's different. And I think you really enjoy them. So make those two. He's doing a 600-mile walk. Yeah, no, that is way more than what we're doing. So do you eat only the exact amount on the Daily Dozen? Ryan asks. Yeah, pretty much. Like, all my rice is measured out to half cup. My beans are half a cup. Vegetables, if they're just plain steamed vegetables, I eat as many as I want because, that's not a big deal. But like oatmeal, I eat half a cup. I eat greens. I eat as many greens as I want because I don't think, I probably eat more greens than he says. Fruit, I pretty much eat as much fruit as I want, but I don't eat that much fruit. I eat fruit in my smoothie every morning, and then I have fruit for a snack, and then I have fruit at night after dinner. So I might have 4 or 5 pieces of fruit a day. I don't snack on high sugar fruit. Like I don't snack on a lot of raisins or anything like that, or dried fruit. I try to eat only fresh fruit. But I think what really helped me personally was, I eat a half a cup of potatoes. I don't eat, a giant mountain of potatoes because I could get carried away with stuff like potatoes and just eat nothing but potatoes. And that, I'm a woman who's 69 years old. And my metabolism does not allow me to eat gigantic servings of potatoes. Something about that will guarantee that I put weight on. But, everybody's different. So, maybe that doesn't happen to you and you could eat nothing but potatoes and you'd be fine. But if you eat nothing but potatoes and steamed vegetables, you'd probably be fine. But I always like to add, you know, tofu or beans and vegetables and a sauce and vary my diet quite a bit. So I can't eat unlimited amounts of starches on my plate without putting on weight. So we'll talk more about this later in the week. I've got to get going because I got to prepare for my next live stream at 9 o'clock. So everybody, the cookies, espresso cookies that I kind of messed up by putting too much of that not so good tasting brown rice stuff in it. Maybe they'll taste better tomorrow, I hope. Whoops. But yeah, if you make them exactly like she says, and maybe they'll turn out better than mine. Well, they're getting better. I hate to lie. You know, I have to be honest with you. If I don't like something that I make, I'm not going to tell you it's wonderful. Because if I do, and you go and make it, and it doesn't turn out well, then you're going to be mad at me. You're going to say, well, she made it and said it was the best thing she ever had. I'm telling you, if you make it, add a little bit more date syrup. Don't put as much if you use the same espresso stuff, use about 2 tablespoons. A half a cup was way too much of this. It was not good. I would still add the flax egg. And she says to use peanut butter to powder. I would probably use that because that probably needed in the recipe. So give it a try. And I'll see you back here at 9 o'clock. If you're still in a mood to watch somebody do a cooking demo, probably by that time you'll be like, no, I'm going to go watch TV or do something else. But the recording will be on, so you'll see how I make fried rice using scraps from all my cooking in the past couple days. Like, for example, I have all this from the spring rolls. And I'm not going to make any more spring rolls, but I have cabbage, carrots, bell peppers, jalapenos, cucumbers I wouldn't put in fried rice, but everything else I would. So there you go. I can use some of that. I probably won't put purple cabbage in there though, because that will turn everything red. All right, bye everybody. PB2 powder adds a lot of flavor. See, I added peanut butter instead of peanut butter powder and it made it too soft. I will see you all later. Don't forget to get the bundle if you haven't gotten it. Thanks everybody. Take care.